Welcome once again to Know Your Rights University in association with Natural Essence Compact LLC. We are very excited to be back at it once again, sharing with you information that we hope and pray will be educational and beneficial to all those who would take the time to listen. Thank you once again. Let us begin. We have shared our screens. Our video today is called Why Michael Jackson, Prince, and James Brown Lost Millions and How a Dynasty Trust Would Have Saved It All. When pop star Michael Jackson died, he had a will in place that he felt adequate enough to pass on his estate to his mom, children, and other loved ones. But what he failed to realize is that a will is not the most adequate means of passing on one's estate. A will has to be probated in order for the estate to be settled and for property and money to go to whomever they will. Michael Jackson's estate has paid tens of millions in legal fees, executor fees, and court mandated costs. Had everything been inside a dynasty trust, those costs would approach $0 and operations would have continued without interruption. James Brown, too, had a will in place when he died, but it was contested immediately. His marital status was litigated all the way to the state Supreme Court. Disputes among executors caused years of additional lawsuits. Copyrights clashed with the will, leading to federal complications. The estate, initially valued at more than $100 million, sold for $90 million after going through 15 years of litigation. Prince died without a will, leading to years of probate, multiple heirship claims, genetic testing, court supervised financial management, and tens of millions in legal and administrative costs. Although his estate was worth millions, access to it was frozen for years. Had these three superstars properly structured their estates, these millions of dollars in excessive fines and penalties would have been avoided. These fines and penalties would have been closer to $0. A properly structured dynasty trust would have already owned the assets. Michael Jackson, James Brown, nor Prince's death would have had any effect on ownership, access, or continuity. No heirship battles would have occurred because successor roles are pre appointed in private documents. The state plays no role. No public court cases or family disputes would have occurred. Probate is public, but a dynasty trust is fully private. Nor would there have been multi-million-dollar administrative drains. For instance, to real estate brokers, since you already understand better than most people that wealth is built through owning assets, not owning a job. But what most brokers don't realize is that the way their properties are currently structured leaves them legally exposed, tax exposed, probate exposed, and vulnerable to lawsuits or family disputes. At Natural Essence Compact LLC, what we set up for you is not just a trust, it's a complete dynasty structure that protects your entire real estate empire forever. Let me ask you a question. If something happened to you tomorrow, what would happen to your property portfolio? Your answer probably would be, I guess it goes to probate. My kids get it eventually. My spouse would take over. Or, I'm not sure. And that uncertainty is dangerous because with property in your name or your LLC's name, you automatically face probate delays, frozen assets, title complications, partner disputes, lawsuits from tenants or buyers, tax exposure, reassessments, forced sales, fights among heirs. All of this is completely avoidable with the correct structure. A dynasty trust solves every major problem a real estate broker faces. Instead of you personally owning the LLCs that own your properties, your dynasty trust becomes the owner of those LLCs. The LLCs still own the properties. You still run your business. Nothing changes operationally, but everything changes in terms of protection. And here's the part brokers love the most. You do not need to change any property titles. The deed stays right where it is. No reassessments, no transfer taxes, no due on sale clauses, no lender involvement. We simply change the ownership of your LLC from you to your dynasty trust. By doing that, you gain lawsuit protection, probate elimination, complete privacy, perpetual asset control, multi-generational succession, divorce protection, creditor protection, reduced tax exposure, and seamless property management. This is why real estate investment firms, private equity groups, and wealth families all use a trust to LLC structure. It's not complicated, it's just smart. If something ever happens to you, your dynasty trust steps in instantly. Your rental income continues, your property management continues, your acquisitions continue, your partnerships continue, your cash flow continues. Nothing freezes, nothing goes to court, no one fights for control. Your legacy lives on uninterrupted. And don't worry if you've never administered a trust. Our dynasty trust is built with a structure that tells you exactly what to do, who runs what, who makes what decisions, what happens annually, what triggers action, how successors take over. The trust system handles the complexity so you don't have to. So the real question becomes, do you want your real estate empire to end with you, or do you want to protect it, multiply it, and pass it on with absolute certainty? If you want complete protection, total privacy, and perpetual structure that ensures your portfolio never goes through probate or becomes vulnerable to lawsuits, then the Dynasty Trust is the smartest move you can make. We handle everything for you: the trust, the LLC transfer, the documents, the governance, and the onboarding. Would you like to begin with your first LLC or transfer your whole portfolio at once? And by the way, once your LLCs belong to your Dynasty Trust, you can start using the trust's private banking system too. Finance new purchases, loan to your business, self-fund renovations, recycle capital, grow your portfolio from inside your dynasty. This puts you in the same position as institutional investors, where you no longer borrow from banks, you borrow from your own dynasty. How the Dynasty Trust creates its own private banking system. Once your LLCs are placed under the Dynasty Trust, the trust becomes the ultimate capital hub for everything your business or portfolio needs. This is because the Dynasty Trust becomes the owner of the LLCs, the parent structure, the central financial engine, the lender, the bank, the vault. When you combine Dynasty Trusts, holding company LLCs, operating LLCs, family bank module, you get a closed loop private banking ecosystem identical to what institutional investors use. Let's expand each benefit from your statement. Finance new purchases. Once the trust has capital from contributions, profits from LLCs, family banking repayments, investments, portfolio cash flow, asset recycling, it can issue loans to your operating LLC, your holding LLC, your acquisitions arm. The loan comes from your trust, not a bank. So instead of begging banks, credit pulling, loan approvals, high interest, restrictions, underwriting delays, you simply have your Dynasty Trust issue a private loan to your LLC. Fast, no underwriting, under your control, interest stays inside the Dynasty. You choose repayment terms. This alone can save investors tens of thousands in bank fees and interest costs. Loan to your business. Your Dynasty Trust can provide working capital, marketing budgets, rehab funds, payroll shielding, equipment financing, and operational buffers instead of your business being vulnerable to cash flow dips, economic shocks, slow seasons. The trust becomes an emergency capital reservoir. Banks do not give businesses this level of flexibility, but your own Dynasty Trust can. Self fund renovations. Rehab projects are notorious for delays, cost overruns, hard money lender fees, draw schedules, interest that destroys cash flow. Your Dynasty Trust eliminates all that. Your LLC asks the trust for a renovation loan. The trust funds it. The interest repays back into your dynasty, not to outsiders. You are literally paying your future generations instead of paying a lender. This is exactly how institutional real estate funds operate. Recycle capital. This is where everything gets exciting. When the trust issues loans, gets repaid, issues new loans, gets repaid again. It creates a perpetual capital recycling loop, meaning the same dollars get used over and over. Your dynasty builds financial momentum. You always have funding available. Your portfolio compounds internally. This is similar to how family offices operate, how hedge funds recycle equity, how private equity firms scale portfolios. It's the flywheel effect for wealth. Grow your portfolio from inside your dynasty. This is where the strategy becomes multi generational. When the trust owns the LLCs, when the trust lends to the LLCs, when the LLCs pay interest back to the trust, and when the trust accumulates more capital, your dynasty becomes a self funding investment machine, meaning no outside lenders needed, wealth stays inside, capital grows generationally. Every investment strengthens the trust becomes wealthier over time. You're no longer building for one lifetime, you're building a structure that overruns you or outruns you. I'm sorry. This is how wealthy families stay wealthy. Institutional positioning, the power of becoming your own bank. When you say, this puts you in the same position as institutional investors, where you no longer borrow from banks, you borrow from your own dynasty. Here's what that truly means. Institutional investors don't depend on outside lenders. Institutional investors use internal capital pools. They recycle loans internally. They create interest income internally. They use leverage without losing control. They scale without permission, and they maintain complete autonomy. Your clients can now do the same. Your dynasty trust becomes the owner, the lender, the banker, the capital engine, the protection wall, the wealth container. It is complete financial independence from the banking system, and this is exactly what wealthy families use. The Rockefellers, the Waltons, the Mars family, the Getty family, the Pritzkers, and the Fords, they own their banking system. They do not rely on outside lending. The, Once your LLCs belong to your dynasty trust, you never borrow from banks again. You borrow from your own family's wealth engine. We also provide our clients with our private family banking training manual as part of our Dynasty Trust Pack. Here's a brief preview of the actual manual. Private Family Bank Training Manual, Natural Essence Compact LLC. Internal Training Curriculum for Dynasty Trust Clients and Their Heirs. Chapter 1, Introduction to the Private Family Bank. What is the Family Bank? The Private Family Bank is a capital system operating inside your Dynasty Trust. It allows your family to borrow money, fund investments, finance renovations, expand businesses, acquire real estate, pay for education, and consolidate debt without ever needing an external lender. Core principle: instead of paying banks interest, your family pays interest back to itself through structured loans, controlled repayment schedules, amortization policies, capital recycling, investment returns. The family bank becomes the engine that grows your dynasty. Chapter 2, Why Every Dynasty Needs a Family Bank. Number 1, keeps wealth inside the trust. Every payment made, principal, interest, fees, penalties, all remain inside the dynasty trust, increasing the dynasty's capital base. Number 2, protects heirs from borrowing mistakes. Instead of heirs turning to credit cards, predatory lenders, high-interest banks, risky financing, the family bank issues structured, supervised, responsible loans. 3, creates generational discipline. Heirs learn financial responsibility, repayment ethics, investment literacy, wealth stewardship, instead of receiving unearned gifts. 4, builds a perpetual investment engine. Every loan issued and repaid grows the dynasty's capital pool, enabling more deals, larger acquisitions, better opportunities, compounding growth. This is exactly how wealthy families maintain power. Chapter 3, The Structure of the Private Family Bank. The family bank operates inside the dynasty trust, the parent, the holding company LLC, capital custodian, operating LLCs, borrowers, project entities. The Capital Triangle: Dynasty Trust, Holding LLC, Family Bank, Operating LLCs, or borrowers. The trust owns the holding company. The holding LLC administers loans. Operating LLCs borrow from investment activities. Chapter 4: How the Family Bank is Funded. Capital contributions. Trust founder may seed initial capital. 2, LLC profits. Operating companies under the Dynasty Trust deposit profits into the family bank. 3, loan payments. Every borrower repaying principal plus interest grows the pool. 4, investment returns. The family bank can invest excess capital in real estate, private equity, notes, internal loans, and partnerships. 5, recycling capital. The same dollars are used repeatedly. Loan, repay, loan, repay, loan, repay. This is how the family bank compounds. Chapter 5, How family bank loans work. Types of internal loans: business loans, investment property loans, renovation rehab loans, acquisition financing, education loans, debt consolidation loans, emergency support loans. Loan terms are set by the advisory council. Includes interest rate, term length, Collateral is optional. Penalties for late payment. Reporting requirements. Approval conditions. Repayment flows back into the trust. 100% of all repayments go into the Dynasty Trust, strengthening the financial foundation. Chapter 6, the decision-making process. Borrower, LLC, or family member submits application. 2, advisory council reviews and approves. 3, trustee signs the loan agreement. 4, funds disperse from the holding LLC. 5, loan servicing begins, monthly payments, quarterly reviews, annual reporting. 6, loan closes, funds are recycled. Chapter 7, the rules of responsible family banking. To prevent abuse, every family bank follows these rules. Rule 1, loans, not gifts. All capital must be repaid unless formally forgiven by council vote. Rule 2, formal agreements. No handshake loans. Every loan must have signed promissory note, repayment schedule, purpose statement, approval documentation. Rule 3, business priority. Investment loans have priority over personal loans. Rule 4, no commingling. Family bank funds remain separate from personal accounts. Rule 5, reporting. Borrowers must submit updates on progress, income, issues, and milestones. Rule 6, enforcement. If borrowers default, penalties apply. Repayment terms adjust. Access to new loans may be restricted. Chapter 8, how the family bank grows a dynasty. Your dynasty becomes its own lender. No outside banks needed. 2, interest stays inside the wealth container, compounding over decades. 3, every generation grows the pool larger. Each successor inherits a stronger system. 4, family business becomes easier to scale, instant capital access. 5, wealth stops leaking out. Banks, lenders, courts, and taxes no longer siphon value. Chapter 9, training module for heirs. Heirs learn how to request loans, how repayment works, how compound interest benefits the family, how to evaluate investments, how to treat the dynasty as a business. Outcome, responsible wealth stewards, reduce family conflict, enhance financial literacy, multi-generational stability. Chapter 10, policies and procedures included loan application form, advisory voting procedure, interest rate setting guidelines, default handling, borrower eligibility rules, documentation requirements. Chapter 11, sample internal loan structures, renovation loan, 6% interest, 12-month term, monthly interest only, balloon payoff, acquisition loan, 5% interest, 5-year amortization, education loan, 3% interest, 10-year terms. Chapter 12, conclusion, the dynasty flywheel. When structured properly, the family bank grows capital, builds discipline, strengthens governance, expands opportunity, creates generational momentum. This is how ordinary families become dynasties. Who wouldn't want the security of this dynasty trust structure for their family and future generations? Schedule a phone consultation now. Call 708-539-9201. And this concludes our video for today. We thank you once again for tuning in and listening. We hope that this video has been educational and informational to you and of benefit to you all. Thank you once again. Peace and blessings to you all.